Ron, thank you for coming to Arkansas.
François, it's always a treat to spend time with you.
My good friend. So what's new in Napa?
Oh, everything is new. Beautiful harvest here, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of grapes is looks fabulous. It was a typical vintage. We didn't have heat spells. Um, I think the growing season was very, very balanced. It may be considered one of the more mild vintages in the last 10 years. But as you know, with the wine style that I like to produce, I like a balanced, mild temperature because I like good acidity in my eyes because I'm going to hold them,
Mm-hmm.
a good, 10 years in bottle. So I think it'll be a fabulous vintage. That's,
Okay.
to me, what's new on the strip, Highway 29. They're coming along with the Robert Mondavi winery. It's very close to being finished. I think they'll be open spring of 2026.
Okay, so 2025 is going to be a good vintage, but it's going to take us another 10 or more years to even touch the
Yeah,
bottle.
absolutely. You'll see the 2025 Chardonnay in 2035,
Right.
and you'll see the Cabernet Sauvignon that I produce. Um, you'll see that 2037.
And just to give a bit of an update for the people who are seeing us right now, Ron only releases his wines in Napa after a minimum of 10 years in the bottle.
Yep,
So whatever is good harvest today, you won't see it for at least another 10 years. I
absolutely.
cannot wait to taste it. Well, Ron, you were raised in Napa Valley. So
Yes.
what was it like to be a kid in Napa and grow up in the middle of some of the most prestigious vineyards? You like biking, or walking to school. I mean, how was it?
That's why I did it all. Napa Valley, when I grew up, it was still, considered country. The French Laundry was just revealing the culinary scene in Napa. I went to, both grade school and high school in the town of St. Helena. So I had an absolutely charmed, upbringing in Napa Valley. In high school, for example, my work experience job was actually working at Camus Vineyards. So I
Mm.
would finish lunch on campus, and I would drive to Camus, and I would clean drains, and I would haul hoses, and I worked in the fields when there was time. And so I really, I immersed myself in the business of Napa Valley, because I knew at a young age, I was romanced by the country. I was romanced by the industry. I was romanced by the people, and I wanted to be part of it. As a young kid, you don't really know how you're going to get there, but
Oh,
I was so fortunate to have just amazing friendships and introductions to the wine business that were genuine, that really shared with me the authenticity of the industry, and really the passion that so many people have today.
absolutely. I mean, it must have been crazy to be in touch with, the Robert Mondavi of the world and see them, in operations or hear it from your father. It was just must be crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these guys are instrumental. At the end of the day, when these guys kicked their feet up after 5 o'clock, they were farmers.
Right?
They were gentlemen of the land. They really believed that you didn't own anything.
Successful farmers.
Very, very successful farmers, but they really didn't believe they owned anything. They really had opportunity, and they really wanted to champion the opportunity and make sure that there was the same opportunity for the next generation.
It's kind of mind blowing when you look on a map where Kelham Wines vineyards are.
It's,
I mean, you're surrounded by Bond, Opus One, Paradox Heights.
yeah,
I mean, these are like big
yeah,
names in the Napa
yeah.
Valley.
There's some of
So you're
the
in the terroir, like the deep
Yeah.
terroir.
There's a reason, when you look at all the contiguous properties of Kelham, um, why these people have, similar scoring, similar ratings, similar followings of customers. And there's just a composition of the land and the microclimate that is just the stars have aligned there. And it really, really, year after year, there's continuity and consistency in the quality of grape that's grown, specifically for the production of wine.
Every time I'm with you, I taste your wine, I'm like, what a blessing that we get to work together.
Yes.
And I get, and you chose me to represent your wines here
Well,
in
I,
Arkansas?
I have to share with you. I think I'm the lucky person because I've traveled. I've met many people in the industry in the recent past. As you know, this is the first time that I've created a campaign to go after distributor partners here in the United States, and I've met with a number of people, and I want to share with you that you, to me, and your company are the pinnacle of distribution representation. You're the pinnacle of passion, and the level of work ethic that your company carries is unparalleled.
Man, to this, let's cheers on one of my favorite of your lineup, Merlot,
Yes,
2006. You heard
yes,
well, in Napa Valley, 2006. That's what we're sipping on.
yes,
Thanks,
yes,
Ron.
absolutely.
Do you want to describe it
Hmm.
after enjoying it?
I was talking to somebody last night and they asked the same question of me, please describe the wine. And I looked at him and I
It's
said
like
to,
a chef asking a chef to describe,
yeah,
their dish.
it's always changing. It's a moving target. It depends on your mood, who you're with, what you're trying to communicate. But I looked at the customer and I said to him, this reminds me of walking through the vineyard when I was a kid on my
Mm.
way home from the bus in fall. There was maybe 2 or 3 rains that had come through. The leaves were starting to fall off the vine. There was an organic, like a decomposition that was going on. There was the second fruit, the second set of fruit that's on the cluster that's starting to dehydrate and it's starting to raisin, so it creates this wonderful perfume. And so you have
Yes,
this
it did.
composition of organic material, wet forest, the cassis, these wonderful dark currant notes. And it's just to me, with a wine that is almost 19 years of age, the level of complexity, the aromatic charm of this wine, it's in my opinion, this is fine wine. This is how I like to drink wine. This is how my late
This
stepfather introduced me to wine. It was, you don't drink anything that doesn't have at least 10 to 15 years if it was made properly.
this is what fine wine
Yeah,
should taste like. You know
absolutely.
what it reminds me of? It reminds you your childhood
Yes.
in Napa Valley. Well, for me, it reminds also a childhood. Well, kind of childhood, more uh, beginning of adulthood, when in France. So it reminds me of France, but more of a dinner table with my father and rest of the family, and it reminds me of Evangile Pomerol.
Oh,
It's
wow.
absolutely you taste that, you
That's a,
smell that perfume,
yes,
and
that's a
the
compliment.
elegance, the depth of it, the multi layers that you're
Hmm.
getting on your palate when tasting
Yeah.
this. This one is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
Thank you for producing
Oh,
it all again.
honestly, it's a, that's this is a vision that my late stepfather had. He was the man that championed how it is that the wines were to be produced, as well as how they were to be introduced. And so it was really, I think, his generosity to me and to everyone who enjoys the Kelham lineup is that he financed the aging of the wines and he promoted this style of wine to be shared because by taste it's what he believed was the best representation of the land.
Yeah, that leads to my next question. I want to ask you, um, what is it? What is your daily life when, as a winemaker, in Napa Valley, and how? Underlying question also is how did you and your father put that vision together to create wines with so much aging on it before release? It
You
was visionary back then.
Oh, 100%. But I think the thing to understand about my father is that he loved collecting wine, but he would collect wines that meant something to him. The people that introduced him to the wines, where he had tasted, a special wine, and he collected these wines and he aged them. And when he went into his cellar, he would pull these, wines out, and they were memories.
Mm.
And that really, I think, was kind of the foundational part of who my stepfather was. He was one of the greatest storytellers, and he had one of the more charmed lives I have ever, heard. And so, for me as a kid, I was 13 when I planted my first vineyard as my summer job. I didn't want to go to tennis camp. I didn't want to go play golf. I wanted to work, with him. And so he gave me an opportunity with his vineyard manager at the time, Rich Duarte, and Rich, he gave me the instruction. He gave me the all of the wonderful direction that was so necessary for me to begin as a young, inspired winemaker. Because everything that I was doing, it all starts in the vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a day in the life today has evolved into spending my 1 to 2 hours in the vineyard each day. I get to the winery, I make sure that processes in the winery are going properly. 12 o'clock, customers arrive. And so I'm absolutely blessed in that I can enjoy every facet each day of a business and a lifestyle that to me is probably one of the most remarkable that exists on the planet for me. To be with great people, to meet and listen to other storytellers, to share my product, to create an experience which is memorable, and to really, um, generate that conversation, that richness in life. That really, I think, this is the wine is a conduit to people,
Mm.
into life experience, into friendship,
Cheers to
and
that.
that's a day in the life. And then I also have a magnificent wife and 4 beautiful children, so that's always the icing on the cake for sure.
Right.
Um, Sometimes not the icing, but we all have this wonderful opportunity, and I'm just so fortunate that the bug of the life about being in Napa Valley absolutely engaged me at a young age, and it was my drive as a young man to understand this industry, participate in this industry, and one day be a champion of one of the better wine products that celebrates the industry.
I don't think it's going to be one day. You're there.
Yeah,
You're doing an amazing job.
there's always more, and
Whoever
to
wants to understand what I'm saying
I do.
need to get this wine
I
on a
do.
glass
I
and
do.
taste it.
I do. They're very, very
It's
special. But as my stepfather said, you own nothing, Ron. You only have an opportunity. Don't screw it up.
right.
And that I take that to heart, and I that's one of the greatest memories, of my late stepfather is his his passion and his belief in me to champion his legacy.
And you're continuing that
Yeah,
legacy, right?
absolutely.
So if you were to bring out, your gold nugget from your life, or and from all your successes, you're a successful man with really beautiful wines in your hands, and you were to share that gold nugget with uh, some young people
Sure.
that want to get into the wine world and are excited about it.
Sure.
Different levels, winemakers to owning a
Mhm.
winery or getting it with a wholesaler. What would you share with them from how to get to that success?
I think the foundation of anybody's success, first and foremost, starts with a level of understanding and having a very specific and intentional direction in your life, first and foremost. Um, Secondly, and probably most importantly, is taking that intention in that direction in following it, work. Get, a wonderful friend of mine actually here in Little Rock that I met. He always tells me every time I see him, Ron, I'm so impressed with the shoe leather that you burn up, and it's a huge compliment, but it's also, it's the truth. There's a level of responsibility that you have to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that means that you have to do real work. And that sometimes there's things that you don't want to do. But if your intention is up here and you can work through those things, you can get to that wonderful place of success and and camaraderie and that place where you can be really proud of yourself, and you can find that place within your heart, and that every day you get out of bed and you're celebrating the opportunity. That is that's how I exist.
So from what I'm hearing, you need to have a vision,
Yes,
and then you need to put in hard work.
absolutely.
And then when you get to that place of contentment, because you've achieved that first initial vision,
Yes,
that might lead you to even something even more bigger
it always
and
does.
with greater success. But still, when you get there, you need to be grateful
Absolutely.
for every single moment that led you to that,
Every single person.
and every
Francois, you're
single
one of them in
person.
my life now. You are 100% part of my life experience, and I want to make sure that, I mean, this to me is my success, is the collection of people that I keep in my life. And that, to me is, the one thing that I could share with someone that's inspired about our industry is that you have to have that vision,
Mm-hmm.
that it's about the people, it's about who you meet along the way.
How do you get your vision?
How did I get my vision? I can remember delivering grapes as a kid with my pop, and going into the wineries, and the first thing I would do is get out of the truck, and I would go into the winery just to smell it. And I was absolutely just romanced right there by the smell. And then I've always been, I've always liked pretty things. And so I would go into the tasting room and I would look at all the pretty people that would come to
Mm.
Napa Valley, and they were tasting the wine, and they had the beautiful cheese and charcuterie plates, and they were all being so regal. And I just thought to myself, this is where I need to be.
Yeah,
These are my people. This is
yeah.
how I want to
That's the life that
experience life.
you want to experience.
Absolutely. And I wasn't afraid of creating the experience. It's not as if I had to be in that life. I wanted to create it.
Mm.
I wanted to share with people. And that's really, that's the bug, that really got me and inspired me to, follow my passion.
Thank you so much, Ron, for sharing a bit of your life with us
Of course.
and sharing these amazing wines.
Of course.
Guys, I highly recommend you. I mean, they are amazing. They are something in a glass that you will have never tasted from Napa before. Um, just get them. We went to several restaurants this week,
Yes.
from Jao in Bentonville, to I think Rin restaurant, and the Oak Rogers
Oak Rogers
in
was fabulous.
Bentonville.
Absolutely.
Have it, and Gaskins on Emma, of course.
It
We
was a
had a
magnificent dinner
fantastic wine
tasting.
dinner. They're also at 5-1 Prime
Yep.
in Hot Springs, at George's on in Little Rock, and many more. So
Yeah.
just have fun, taste them, and if you can't find them in a liquor store, just text me and we'll figure out how and where for you to go and get in, which liquor stores have it, and we'll coordinate all this. Thank you very much, everyone.
Francois,
And Ron, a
cheers to
pleasure
you.
always, and see you again next in 2026.
You always will. 100%.
See ya.
Cheers to Vino.
Cheers.